Hello dolls, and welcome back to another episode of Explaining 1960s Fashion. Today we're taking a look at a phenomenon that defied 1960s rock and roll, the wonderful world of the groupies and their fashion. The term groupie emerged in the mid-1960s to describe the passionate followers of rock bands who often traveled from gig to gig seeking closeness with their idols. While the label can sometimes carry negative connotations, it's important to recognize that groupies were far more than just fans. They were pivotal to the rock scene, influencing music, style, and culture. Everything they did was inspired by the music, and everything they were doing inspired the music right back. The roots of groupie culture can be traced back to the early 1960s, coinciding with the rise of rock bands like the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, and the Who. These women were drawn not only just by the music, but by the allure of the rock and roll lifestyle, a world of rebellion, freedom, and boundary-pushing creativity. They created a subculture that celebrated liberation and self-expression. Groupie fashion was characterized by its eclectic, daring, and often flamboyant style, drawing inspiration from a variety of sources, including bohemian styles, hippie fashion, and glam rock aesthetics. These women were trendsetters in their own right, so let me break down some of the key elements that were crucial for a 1960s groupie look. First of all, patterns. Psychedelic patterns, paisley prints, vibrant hues were staples in a groupie's wardrobe. These eye-catching designs mirrored the era's music and art, creating a visual representation of the psychedelic rock movement. Groupies often mixed and matched vintage finds with contemporary fashion. Flowing maxi dresses, bell-bottom jeans, peasant blouses, and fringe vests were popular, reflecting a free-spirited bohemian style. Miss Pamela, a popular 1960s groupie, who we'll talk about a little more in a second, wrote in her biography how she and her girlfriends used to go to the vintage shops and get some wonderful pieces from the 1920s and 30s and ended up styling them for their groupie looks. As the sexual revolution of the 60s unfolded, hemlines rose. Mini skirts and hot pants became synonymous with the era, embodying the daring and liberated spirit of the time, and the groupies took this to a whole new level. Their miniskirts and hot pants were even shorter and even more daring than anything everyone else was wearing. Accessories played a crucial role in completing the groupie look. Wide-brimmed head, oversized sunglasses, chunky jewelry, and headbands were all must-haves. These elements added a touch of glam and individuality to their outfits. Many groupies, just like myself today, chose feather boas for a unique and eclectic eye-catching look. Footwear was bold and statement-making. Platform shoes, go-go boots, and knee-high boots were favorites, enhancing the dramatic flair of the groupie style. Much like the mods, groupies also embraced androgynous fashion. Women often borrowed styles from their male counterparts, such as military jackets, tailored blazers, and even men's shirts. And the same thing goes the other way around. It is often said that people like Mick Jagger and Keith Richards borrowed clothes from their girlfriends Marianne Faithfull and Anita Parsons to embrace the androgynous look on their end. Groupies' makeup reflected the era's vibrant and revolutionary spirit, influenced by the psychedelic rock scene's mod fashion and avant-garde styles. With makeup and the groupies, there were no boundaries. It was truly an everything-goes kind of situation. Thick, dramatic eyeliner was the hallmark of 1960s makeup. Groupies often applied black or colored eyeliner along the upper and lower lash lines, extending it into a winged or cat eye shape for a bold, emphasized look. Mascara was used generously to create long and thick lashes that framed the eyes. Some groupies even experimented with colored mascara, often worn in colors like blue or green to match their outfits and make a statement. Groupies embraced colorful eyeshadows in shades like bright blue, green, purple, or pink. These colors were often applied generously over the eyelids, sometimes extending even into the brow for an even more dramatic effect. Shimmer and metallic finishes were also popular, reflecting the psychedelic influences of the era. I did my makeup kind of like that today. I added some details down here. I glued some gems to my face. I did a lot of colors. I'm definitely gonna upload the makeup look in a short form, but I really love how with groupie makeup there truly aren't any boundaries. Lipstick shades varied from bold reds to soft pinks or corals. Matte finishes were preferred, although glossy lips also made appearances. The focus was on enhancing the natural shape of the lips with defined edges. Groupies often wore their hair in styles that complemented their bold makeup looks. Long flowing hair with loose waves or voluminous curls was typical, echoing the romantic, free-spirited vibe of the era. Hair accessories such as headbands, scarves, and flowers were also popular. A quintessential icon of groupie fashion was Pamela Des Barres, better known as Miss P or Miss Pamela. Her memoirs offer an inside look into the lifestyle and fashion of the groupies. She was part of one of the first and most popular groupie groups, the GTOs. The GTOs, which is short for Girls Together Outrageously, were formed in 1968 in Los Angeles and were closely associated with the famous musician and producer Frank Zappa. The group was a unique blend of performance art, music, and avant-garde fashion, making them a standout act in the burgeoning rock scene. The original members included Miss Pamela, Miss Christine, Miss Mercy, Miss Sandra, Miss Sparky, Miss Cinderella, and Miss Lucy. And for a while they all lived together in Frank Zappa's house in Laurel Canyon. Frank Zappa, always a champion of the unconventional, saw potential in these flamboyant young women and signed them to his label Straight Records. He produced their only album called Permanent Damage, which was released in 1969. The album is a fascinating snapshot of the counterculture era, blending spoken word, quirky narratives, and musical experimentation. It featured contributions from rock luminaries like Jeff Beck and Laurel George, adding to its eclectic and unique charm. The GTOs were more than just groupies or a band. They were a performance collective that embodied the outrageous, boundary-pushing ethos of the time. But at their core, they were groupies, and they lived the groupie life. Their live shows were known for feeling like a trip to the theater, featuring elaborate costumes, wild hairstyles, and a sense of spontaneous creativity that truly captivated the audience. They often performed at venues like the Whiskey A Go-Go and were fixtures on the vibrant Sunset Strip scene. Fashion was a crucial aspect of the GTO's identity. They mixed vintage clothing with contemporary styles, creating looks that were both nostalgic and forward-thinking. Think sequins, feathers, an array of bold accessories. Their style was a visual feast that perfectly complemented their larger-than-life personas. Each member of the GTOs brought their own unique flair to the group. Miss P was known for her bubbly personality and distinctive fashion sense. Miss Mercy's edgy and unconventional style combined with her striking makeup made her a standout figure. The other members too each had their own quirks and talents that added to the group's dynamic and eclectic nature. The GTO's influence extended beyond their music and performances. They were a crucial part of the social fabric of the rock community, often seen at parties and events, mingling with some of the biggest rock stars and names in music. Their relationships with rock stars, their behind-the-scenes stories have become the stuff of the legends, adding to the myth surrounding the GTOs. Despite their brief existence, the GTOs disbanded in 1970, which makes them a real group for only a short period of 2 years. Their impact on rock culture was significant. They paved the way for future generations of female performers, proving that women could be just as outrageous, creative, and influential as their male counterparts. Their legacy lives on in the many artists and fashionistas who draw inspiration from their fearless approach to fashion and life. Another notable figure of the 1960s groupie scene was the one and only Anita Parsons. She not only influenced the Rolling Stones' music, but also left a long-lasting impact on rock and roll style with her edgy and eclectic fashion choices. She is one of my personal favorites. Alongside Miss P, these two definitely are some of my top fashion muses and inspire me greatly with their wonderful looks. Anita was born in Rome in 1942 to German-Italian parents. She began her career as a model and actress, but she was best known for her influential role within the Rolling Stones. Her impact on the band and the broader rock culture of the era was profound, extending beyond her relationship to her unique sense of style and charisma. But in classic groupie style, she was involved with some of the most popular rock stars. In her case, she wasn't with one, but with two members of the Rolling Stones. arguably even with a third, because there are people saying she had an affair with Mick Jagger, but because that's not 100% proven, I'm gonna focus on her two relationships with Brian Jones and Keith Richards. In 1965, Anita met Brian Jones and they quickly became a couple. She greatly influenced Brian's artistic sensibilities, but their relationship was volatile due to his erratic behavior and drug abuse. During a 1967 trip to Morocco, Anita left Brian due to his worsening behavior and began a relationship with Keith Richards. Keith and Anita's relationship was passionate and influential, marked by heavy drug use and legal troubles. They had 3 children together. Anita deeply influenced the Rolling Stones' music and style during the late 1960s. Keith and Anita's relationship ended in 1980, but her influence on the Rolling Stones remained significant. Anita's style was the epitome of bohemian chic mixed with rock and roll edge. She effortlessly combined luxurious fabrics and bold accessories to create a look that was both sophisticated and rebellious. Velvet jackets, fur coats, and wide-brimmed hats were staples in her wardrobe, often paired with statement jewelry and oversized sunglasses. She was also great friends with Mick Jagger's girlfriend at the time, Marianne Faithfull. The two of them were really close, which is a popular characteristic among groupies. These were usually girls spending a lot of time together and having a great time. Groupie fashion wasn't just about looking good, it was about making a statement. It was a visual declaration of rebellion against societal norms and the celebration of individualism, and a celebration of individuality and freedom. These women challenged the traditional roles expected of them and carved out a unique space within the male-dominated rock scene. And the music of these rock stars is greatly influenced by the groupie culture and fashion. As rock evolved from the British invasion bands to psychedelia, glam rock, and beyond, so did the styles of the groupies. The relationship between music and fashion was symbiotic. Just as the bands inspired the groupies' distinctive style helped shape the visual identity of rock and roll. One of the most famous songs written for a groupie in the 1960s is Miss Amanda Jones by the Rolling Stones. Released in 1967 on their album Between the Buttons, the song was inspired by Amanda Lear, a model, singer, and actress who was a well-known figure in the music and fashion scene. Amanda Lear was an enigmatic, influential presence in the swinging London scene. She was associated with many prominent artists, musicians, and fashion icons, including, of course, Brian Jones. I mean, who else could it be? Who is actually often credited with inspiring the song. Amanda's allure and dynamic personality made her a muse for various artists. Miss Amanda Jones is just one example of how groupies and muses inspired some of the most memorable songs from the 1960s. These women played a crucial role in shaping the culture and mythology of rock and roll, leaving a lasting legacy through the music they helped to inspire. While the picture of the 1960s groupie is now wildly romanticized, back then these women often faced harsh criticism. Groupies represented a rebellion against traditional norms of sexuality and femininity, mainly because they embraced a liberated lifestyle that included casual relationships with rock stars and musicians, which challenged conservative views of gender roles and morality. While some admired groupies for their free-spirited lifestyle and influence on rock music and fashion, they were also a subject to criticism and moral condemnation. Traditionalists viewed them as promiscuous and immoral, criticizing their relationships with famous musicians as exploitative or shallow. The media played a significant role in shaping the public perception of groupies. They were often sensationalized and portrayed as glamorous yet controversial figures. News coverage and tabloid stereotypes contributed to both their fame and infamy, perpetuating myths and stereotypes about their lifestyles. Groupies were part of a broader discussion about feminism and women's liberation during the 1960s. While some viewed their lifestyles as empowering and a rejection of societal constraints, others critiqued it as reinforcing patriarchal norms of women as objects of male desire. Despite the controversies and critics, groupies left a lasting legacy on popular culture. They played a crucial role in the development of rock and roll mythology and contributed to the fashion and cultural trends of the 1960s. Their influence continues to be felt in music, fashion, and the discussion about gender and sexuality. In essence, the perception of 1960s groupies was multifaceted, reflecting broader societal changes and contradictions surrounding sexuality, gender roles, and cultural rebellion during that transformative decade. As we journey into the 1970s, the legacy of 60s groupie fashion continues to inspire new generations. The glam rock era, with its emphasis on glitter, sequins, and theatrical style, can be seen as a direct descendant of the flamboyant styles pioneered by groupies. Even today, the free-spirited bohemian looks of festival fashion owe much to the original groupies of the 1960s. In conclusion, groupie fashion was more than just a style. It was a movement that embodied the spirit of an era. It was about breaking free from conventions, embracing individuality, and living life with unabashed enthusiasm. Whether through their bold fashion choices or their unwavering passion for music, the groupies of the 1960s left an undeniable mark on the rock and roll scene, continuing to inspire us until today. So that's it for today's video. I truly hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I would love you to give it a thumbs up and maybe even share it with a friend. It supports me, it supports the channel, and it would truly mean the world. Leave a comment down below telling me which of these groupie styles you like the best. I know that groupies in the 70s had a little bit of a different styles, and trust me, we will get there. So make sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss out on any future videos. I'm also gonna link a video right here that I made a couple of years ago about baby groupies. This is a little more of a controversial video since it dives into minors having relationships with grown-up rock stars, but if you're interested in learning more about the topic, make sure to watch this video as it is really interesting. I hope you have a beautiful day. Go out, enjoy the sunshine, take yourself some time to focus on you and your mental health today, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye everybody!